So in video 3 we are going to add the earbud shaped objects, and we're going to cut those into the surface of our shape so that our earbuds fit within this top section of our accessory that we are creating. And I guess there's a couple of ways we could do that. We could use the sketch command and maybe use a mixture of circle and rectangle to create roughly the right shape, and then use an extrude command and cut into the top surface. Or there's another way which we've not looked at yet, and I think we should maybe look at that one. We've used the sketch and extrude commands before, so I'll try and show you a different way of doing this next bit. And 123 Design actually comes with some pre-built what it terms primitives, or shapes that are pre-made and included within the software, and they're accessed using this little side menu. So if we just click on that, we can see the first thing we get is the smart primitives, and if we go into the drop down box, there's loads and loads of different ones which are included with the software. And if we just look at a couple of them, if we look at gadgets, there's quite a few different things to do with phones, or for two of the main phones out currently, I guess. And if we go into something like battleship, we get lots of things to do with boat, ships, marine type appliances, and it saves you having to obviously create these. We can actually drag these in and use them within our model itself. And the one that I found which is going to work for what we need is actually just in the primitives tab itself, and it's this little keyway, or this keyhole, which kind of looks just like an earphone, and it's going to be a lot more useful if I can use that one rather than having to add some sketches and extrude and cut those shapes into the surface. So I'm just going to drag one of these keyways or keyholes out, and we just get confirmation that it's opening there, and lo and behold, it's put it right in the middle of my object. So I'm going to use the square at the base just to drag it out, just so I can see it and I can use it. And I actually need this to be on the top surface of my object, so I need to change this slightly. So if I click on it again in the attribute manager, I can go to the smart edit, and the first thing I want to do is I want to try and lay this down so it's flat on one of these faces, and I can do that using the arc that runs over the top, and it's got a little handle, this little circle, and if I select that and drag down, I can tumble this object so that it's flat on the floor. And again, I can either do it by watching the dimension of the degrees going up and down, or I could just type it in there, and luckily I've managed to get it bang on 90 degrees, so I will hit the Enter key there to confirm that. And if I click and select and drag now, I can actually move this object around wherever I want, and that gets turned cruising within 123D Design. But I've actually found a much better tool for this situation that we want, and it's using the snap tool, which is shaped like the magnet in the toolbar. And I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to click on one of the faces that I'd like to snap together. So I want to snap this face onto this top surface. So if I click on that, it jumps on top of it, and because we've snapped them together, it actually now combines these and creates these as one solid model, which is not really what we want, because I want to be able to move this around, and it's now part of the whole thing. So if I move it, the whole lot will move together. So what I need to do is come to the grouping toolbar, and although we've only got two objects at the moment, I'm going to use the Ungroup All tab. When I click on that, it then asks me which one I want to group. Obviously we've only got one, so I'm just going to click, and that's now ungrouped these two shapes. So if I try and just select the little keyway, I can, oops, that doesn't seem to have worked. Let's just try that again. Ungroup, So once we've ungrouped them, I can now select my little keyway slot and I can drag it wherever I want, and it's limited to this top surface because that's where we snapped it to. And to be able to position it more accurately, all I'm going to do is rotate round to the top and then drag this object so it's just to one side, and if I just rotate round, I want it to cut right through that filleted edge, which that looks like it's going to. So we'll just go back to the top, and because it's set of earphones I actually need two of these, and rather than dragging another key slot out and having to snap it and then ungroup it and then move it, I'm going to show you a different tool here. And if we go to the pattern tool, I can actually pattern that object to make a repetition of it, or to make another one. So if I click on the rectangular pattern, it asks me to define which solid I would like to pattern, and that's obviously going to be my earbud template. And then it asks for a direction that I'd like to move it. So if I click onto the direction, because this is a rectangular pattern, it needs to go in a linear way. So I've got these two, or I suppose this one's the third one, these three linear edges that I can use to rectangular pattern it. So I'm just going to click on this one, and we can see it's now given me two arrows, and by default the quantity is set to 3. Now obviously you don't get 3 earphones in a set of headphones, so I'm going to change that to 2, and I'm then going to use this arrow and click and drag in order to create a copy of the key slot. And what I'm looking to try and get this in roughly the right sort of place, and I'm just doing this by eye. We could obviously type in a value here, but something like that looks fairly symmetrical. I'm sure it's not 100%, but I'm sure we'll be okay for the purpose of this exercise. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to hit the Enter key and go back into my 3D view, and you can see I've now got two of these key slots positioned on the top surface of my shape. Now what I need to do is I need to actually drop the two items down so that they are inside the model, if you like, and then we're going to use a combine command in order to cut out the shape of these from this solid model. So to select both of them, because I'm on a Mac here, I'm using the command key. Once I've selected both, I can drop down into the attribute manager, click on the move tool, and then I'm going to use the central dot just to drag downwards, and I'm trying to be as careful as I can not to move too many other places. In fact, what I think I'll do is I'll set the X distance, set the X distance, and the Y distance back to 0, and just lift those back up just so they stuck out to the top surface of the shape we've created. Once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to hit the return key, and what I'm now going to do is come up to the toolbar, I'm going to click on combine, and I'm going to not join, but I'm going to subtract these from the main shape that I've got. So I'm going to click on subtract, and then the target solid is going to be the main shape that I'm creating, and the source solids are going to be the two keyway options. So again, I'm holding the command button there, and once I've finished, I'm just going to hit the Enter key, and as we can see, that's now cut out the two earphone shaped pieces from the solid model that we created. So it's now starting to look much more like the object that I showed you right at the beginning of video 1 now for the mobile phone accessory, and as we said, in this case we're creating a earphone holder or an earbud holder to stop them getting tangled up in our pockets.